Alright, you guys, now that Nationals is over and Worlds is upon us, I have a lot more free time with my testing of decks. Not very many regionals to prepare for. It's really just preparing for Worlds. So, in my free time, I hopefully can get you guys some deck profiles here, because that would be really fun, and U150 is picking up in our area, and I got Grady and his brother on it too, so hopefully we can get some videos started. Now, before I go any further, a system that I've worked out for to get Cube really good is just buy 2 of everything you need and put them in 2 different sleeves. That way you can always just build whatever deck you want to. So for instance, you just get 2 Lysanders, put one in black sleeves, one in white sleeves, and then just like flip them out when you play each other, because then you can do like mirror matches and stuff, if that makes sense. That's a super tangent, and that's not what today's video is actually about. Today's video is actually about Magnezone. Now, Magnezone, in our opinion, is the best deck in the U150 format. It's very oppressive, has a lot of options at its disposal, and doesn't need to rely on some of the crutches that we have put on U150. We as me, Kyle, and Grady's testing, as far as that concerns. You'll notice a lot of similarities when I do these deck videos. A lot of the things that I like putting in decks are in the different decks, and I will do a staple video of trainers and supporters and stuff, which I haven't done, but now that I have more free time, I'll do a staples thing. So, that was a lot of tangents, but I want to talk about Magnezone and the fact that it's the best deck in format. So, I'm going to go ahead and start with the Pokemon pile, because that's the one that people will care the most about, for sure. So, we're going to take a look at the Magnezones. I play a thinner 4-4-3-1 Magnezone line. So we're going to use these 3 Magnezones, the Magnezone level X, and then as far as the Magnetons and Magnemites you play, kind of doesn't matter too much. These ones are really good here, but like the Magnemites really don't matter. I just use the 4 current ones because those are the ones that I had on hand, and they have the most HP and some cool stuff. But in terms of Magnezones, these are the 2 Magnezones, if I recall correctly, that are actually going to matter. The other 2 Magnezones you play don't. This one has the ability as often as you like. If Lieutenant Surge's active Pokemon, take 1 lightning energy and attach it to Lieutenant Surge's Magneton, so it's a free energy switch to Magneton if he's in the active. It helps for early turn, like, adjustments. Like if you started Omolga EX and you retreated but you needed energy on Magneton, you can switch this up. Magnezone level X is the way you switch energies in your deck, so this guy kind of alleviates that a little bit. And then this Magneton is discard 1 card from hand and take 2 energies and put them back into your hand. Great recovery, like one of the last ones you want to evolve if you can help it. Just because since you'll be able to use Magnetic Circuit over and over again, having energies in the discard pile isn't the worst thing ever, because you can always just recover them and attach them. But, on to the Magnezones, the real stars of the deck. If you didn't know what these Magnezones do, all the abilities are super busted. This is Magnetic Draw until you have 6. It's the same ability that's on the Porygon 2 that's in almost every deck. This is Dual Brains. During your turn, you can play 2 Supporters cards. It's the same ability that's on the Porygon 2 from Great Encounters. So you play 2 Supporters turn. Both of these cards are in every single one of my decks. The 2 Porygons. The 2 Porygons are, not the 2 Magnezones. But these have the same ability as Porygon 2, meaning you don't have to play Porygon 2, meaning you have more room for fun activities, and these also double as fantastic attackers. So your bench space is not as limited as it is with other decks where you need like 2 bench sitters for a deck to operate fully. But here's the real star of the deck, Magnezone Breakthrough. Has the Magnetic Circuit. As often as you like, you can attach as many lightning energies from your hand as you possibly can. So you never have to worry about stuff like energy removal, super energy removal. You never have to worry about energy attachments in general. Most of the top tier decks have a way to get around energy denial, or they just flood the field with energy. So you either have like a single attachment or no attachment. So stuff like Jump Bluff and Gyarados, or even Empoleon, Dragon's Exalted, that sort of thing. Those are all really good cards. And Magnezone is no exception. So you still have stuff like Emboar and Blastoise that are just like this, that do similar things. Lightning is just better supported for an array of attackers. So that's why we think Magnezone is the best deck in format. And then you have this Magnezone level X. granted, it still becomes an EX because all these are EXs in this format, so it will still be an EX. You don't get to take that away, but you can move energies as you will. I believe it's lightning energies only. Lightning and metal, sorry. You can move as many lightning and metals as you want from your Pokemon. And then Cyber Shock, you discard a lightning and a metal, and they're automatically poisoned. So if you ever need a stall with an 80 paralyze. 80. If you ever need a stall with an 80 paralyze, Cyber Shock is what's going to work out best. There is another Magnezone that we used to play, and I don't kind of anymore because we never really used it. It's an older Magnezone. I can't remember what set it's from, but it accelerates a lightning energy from the discard to Magnezone. It's the same thing as the electric from Noble Victories for newer players, if you remember that. But the thing is, it's like we were using stuff like Fisherman and everything, and even the Magnezone that has the ability to get back energies. So getting back energies and putting them back into play wasn't really the issue. So that card really just never saw much play. So that's the other Magnezone that we would recommend. All the other Magnezones are good. You can't really go wrong with the Magnezone, and that's the thing about U150 is it is all good versus better. And I think I've said that a million times over again, and I'll continue to say it over and over again. But U150, you can never really go wrong with any deck list that you play. It's just good versus better. And these are the three best ones, and if you want to be more consistent, these are the three that you'll play. So, moving on to the other, let's go support Pokemon. Yeah. These support Pokemon you'll see in almost every deck. Claydol is a standard. Even though you have draw power built into Magnezone, you still want Claydol. It's super, super, super good. This will never, ever leave my deck. I'll always have a 1/1 of. You can always use the one from Great Encounters or this one. It's, you know, it's 6 one way, half dozen the other. They're both fine. One draws you cards, one gets it out of the active. Can't really go wrong with which one's ever better as long as you're playing a fighting type clip. Lapras to search a deck for a supporter in every single deck. Dunsparce to search a deck for 3 basics, and then switch Dunsparce. This is in every deck. Uxie, when you bench it, draw a TF7. This is in every deck ever. So you have Lele or Jirachi, you have Shaman in non-EX forms. This is why I want to play these. But if you are only a newer player and you don't have that, you can just play a Shaman and a Jirachi EX instead. You can't play Lele because it breaks the U150 rule. But anyways, these are in every single deck. I don't want to harp too much on them. And then Spiritomb is in every single evolution deck. There are some decks that don't play this just because they focus more on basics. But Spiritomb in every evolution-based deck because Strike and Running into Spiritomb is a busted combo. But these are the cards you'll see in every single deck that I post. But now on to the deck specifics. We're going to start with Raikou EX. It's the same sort of strategy if you remember Blastoise Keldeo or Archeostoise, whatever you want to call it. Blastoise Keldeo uses the same sort of thing, 50 plus 20 for every water, so this is 50 plus 20 for every lightning. The ability is super good, reduce damage by 20. If you're fighting Fury Belt on this thing, it's 160 and you're reducing by 20. Very, very impressive card that can start attacking really early. Zapdos EX now. The snipe from 50 is actually huge. There's a lot of things that have 50 HP. Here's one, for example. So, you know, if you can get if they can't evolve their Baltoy early, you can really snipe that. A lot of the cards that evolve into stage 2s, literally, all these Magnemite are 60s, but there are a lot of evolution cards. The the Jumpluff deck all plays lower HP Pokemon that you can snipe easily. Most of the good Porygons are less than 50 HP. There's a lot of good stuff. Oh, and then if your opponent Darkness Graces, it puts them down to 50 HP. So Zapdos 50 Snipe is super good, and if you ever want to feel like you're getting lucky, Thunderous Hurricane. And another big thing about this is it has fighting resistance. Most of your deck is fighting weak, so to have a fighting resistance card built into your deck is super, super good. Speaking of fighting resistance, the other fighting resistance card in the deck is Emolga EX. Now, this card is actually trash in Standard, but in Expanded, or not in Expanded, in U150, this card is actually pretty busted. If you start with it, right, you get an Energy Glide turn 1, you already have 2 energy on field, you threaten the turn 2 90 without even having to give a Magnezone out. So you're not Hex vulnerable, you're not Goop vulnerable, you're none of that stuff. If you start this, you can hit turn 2 90 real easily. And it's got Free Retreat. That's also nice. And the Fighting Resistance. So Emolga EX is actually very, very good in this deck, and I wouldn't drop it for the world. It's busted, you know. Another EX card that's trash in Standard and Expanded, but good in this format is Pikachu EX. Overspark, discard all lightnings and do 50 each. You can just one-shot whatever you want without caring. and that's what makes this card good. It's the same reason that Magnezone Prime is good. It's the fact that you can just blow anything up with Lost Burn, but this way you don't lose your energies. Yeah, they're both EX attackers, but you know, this deck's oppressive in nature, and doesn't really care about your EX attackers. And the big one, and the reason this card has so much versatility, is the 1/1 Zebstrika line. And this deck has put a lot of 1/1 lines that I have tried in the past. Stuff like Electivire, stuff like Luxio from Flashfire, E-Electric, that sort of stuff. But Zebstrika is... Sorry, I was looking at my thumb. I have blood on my thumb. Just got back from work. It's gross. Zebstrika's Disconnect 40 and they can't play items is really good in this format. The other famous item locking cards, you have Spiritomb, you have Vileplume, that sort of thing, can all be countered by Goop, oh not by Goop, sorry, by Hex. You can get a Hex off, you can get a Lysander off, you can do stuff to kind of ruin their strategy of item locking you. Zebstrika, the only thing that actually shuts it off is Pokemon Ranger, something that is not staple in U150 whatsoever. So being able to go 40, 60 with a Muscle Band, where you're in 60, you're two-shotting most things in this format anyways, you're maybe three-shotting it, and stopping their items to set up is crazy. And you have Lightning Crash, discard all lightnings and do 80. That is the perfect amount for Claydol. Claydol's got 80 HP, you can snipe it. Both Porygons have 80 HP. There's a lot of stuff that you can snipe with Lightning Crash to really ruin their day. You can either stop their abilities on their sitting on their bench, or you can stop their items. Any deck that requires you to have stuff in your discard pile, stuff like Banette EX, Gyarados, that sort of thing, you just trump card and disconnect, and they can't do anything. Like, you just win. This card has won so many games just by itself. I highly recommend it, and it's one of the reasons that makes Magnezone so good. You can one-shot anything you want with Pikachu or Magnezone. You have draw power built into the line. You can shut off items. You can snipe with Zapdos or Zebstrika. You don't have to worry about weakness because you have a weakness that is resistance on another card. You have energy acceleration. You have everything you need, and that's why I think this deck is BDIF. So, that spent 12 minutes talking about the Pokemon. That's a long time, so I hope you're still watching. But we're going to talk about supporters. You'll find that most supporters, to optimize lists, it's actually kind of hard, because it's all preference, I think. I think most of the stuff with what trainers, what items, what supporters you play is all personal preference, and it's kind of hard to optimize that. So don't take this list take the Pokemon I think is perfect. I think this set of Pokemon right here, you can't beat. Maybe you can change out Magnemites and Magnetons, but outside of that, this shouldn't be touched. But in terms of supporters and items, mess around with those to your heart's content. So we'll just go quick. Hex Maniac shuts off abilities, staple. Lysander, super staple, snipe stuff. Baby Surge, not staple, but I really enjoy it to get around early Spiritomb locks and stuff. Profession Theory, pretty stable, shuffle draw 6. Oracle, if you're playing Claydol, which you should be, you should also be playing Oracle. It's Mallow for the new players. Search check for 2 cards, put them on top, and then you can just instantly draw them with Claydol. You can also instantly draw them with Magnetic Draw. Trump card, staple in every deck. Wally to get around weird stuff like Archeops and Banette lock. It also helps you search cards when you are item locked. Judge, I like Judge in decks that play ways to draw cards, so if you're playing Porygon, probably should play this. Magnezone, it's where you can Judge and then just draw to 6. It's just a little bit of extra disruption. If this card got cut from the deck, I wouldn't be upset about it, to be honest. It's one of those ones that's just like, oh, Judge is good in this deck, and in other decks I'm like, Judge is not good, and I really don't know why. So, there's that. Skyla, pretty stable, search out anything. Fisherman, to recover all of your lost energies after you Pikachu shock them. And you don't have to worry about energy in the late game. If you have the Magnetic Circuit one, you just get 4 free energies. And while I'm talking about it, I should also mention Clement. Fisherman's 4 from the discard. Clement is 4 lightning energies from the deck. So you have 2 different ways to grab as many lightning energies as you possibly want. So if you didn't know Clement existed, it's a kind of a weird one from Generations, but it is a card. Teammates, I don't think there's twins in here. Oh, there's twins. Teammates and twins. Search your deck for any 2 cards, depending if you just got knocked out or if you're losing. You won't play this one very often because you're always going to be winning because this deck is super good. Professor Sycamore and Professor Juniper to blow through your deck. While we're at it, we'll go ahead and mention N and Rocket's Admin. I love both of these cards, especially in U150 where you can get 8. Colress is super staple. I prefer just the Collectors and the Roseannes for searching for basic Pokemon. This turns into a Professor's Letter late game, so you just get 2 lightning energies. I think Collector is really all you need. You never really need to have Bridget, Holland Mentor, or Lynette's Net Search as well. Collectors will get you everything you possibly need. Marley's Request for Recovery. Karina for Standard. Copycat, it's a standard staple card. And then AZ instead of Brimies. I always like to play one or the other. If the deck doesn't have a lot of EXs, you play Brimies. If it has a lot of EXs, you play AZ. Just because Brimies is better, but you can't use it with EXs, and most all the deck is EX. So I play AZ in this case. Trucking along. This video is going to be stupid long, longer than I want. Item cards. More staple stuff we're going to talk about. Bill in every deck. I have both Escape Rope and Warp Point in this deck, I do believe. No, sorry. I just have Escape Rope and Switch. Those are my 2 switching cards. I like the flexibility. You also have Floatstone in the deck. This is really all you need. If you want, you can play Warp Point as well. And there's some other cards, Lieutenant Surges, whatever, to get extra switching. But that should be enough, because retreating doesn't really matter, because if you retreat with your energies, you can just get them back with Fisherman. You'll just chomp them back in. Rare Candy Breeder. Playing stage 2, might as well max out there. Recovery options, you have Retriever. And I think that's it? I could be wrong. Yep, that's it. That's it. Retriever. Pokemon Retriever, it's Rescue, Stretch, Renew. You can also play Energy Retriever, Super Energy Retrieval, Super Rod, Night Maintenance, that sort of thing to get stuff back. But I think 1 is good. This is really all you need, especially with both Item Finder and Junk Arm being in every deck. Don't have to worry about it. Letter to help your energy acceleration. You know, I would see you could cut this card if you really wanted to, but it's 1 games, so it's nice. Wrath to blow through your deck. You will sort of do around weird stuff. Swoop Teleporter, so your bench space isn't weird. Speaking of bench space not being weird, you also have Scoop Up in every single deck. Ryuzuki, that sort of thing. Level Balls in every deck because Claydol's in every deck, so you know, search all your stuff. And your beginning lines. And Blitzel and Zebstrika, both 90 HP, so another reason to play that. More search, Pokemon Communication. What other search do we have? We have Ultra Ball in every deck, Luxury Ball in every deck, Windstorm to get around stadiums and items. This is in most every deck as well. Blaze Quiz 3 is a kind of a more odd one. I see it in a lot of decks, and I do enjoy it. It's good when you play against players who don't know what you're playing, but bad against players who you're playtesting with. So one of those cards that, you know, hey, it's a draw 3 card most of the time for you, but we found out that some decks can't play it. Gyarados can't play it because all of the attacks are super obvious. One of those ones that if you want to play it, go for it. It's a lot of fun, but also it could be cut for other stuff like Erica, or just more drawing stuff like Bicycle Mail from Bill, Roller Skates, that sort of thing. Professor Oak in every deck to blast through your deck. Versus Seeker in every deck. Old Computer Search in every deck. Pop Pad in every deck. Max Potion's one that's not in every deck, but it abuses this one because you can move your energies around with Magnezone level X. Also, this deck doesn't care about energy attachments because of Magnetic Circuit, so you can just Max Potion, attach a lot of energies from some other way. Helps because you play a lot of EXs, so Max Potion's super good. And then, last but not least, my personal favorite, Imposter Professor Oak's Invention. This is in every single one of my builds ever because it wins games. If you're playing, I keep mentioning Gyarados. If you're playing against Gyarados, and you play this card turn 1, and you manage to prize their Stormfront Gyarados, they can't really do anything, and you just win the game based off 1 card. This works in a lot of stuff. Tool cards, pretty light on tool cards. Just these 3 puppies. These 2 are fairly standard in everything. If you want another one of these, you can play Fluffy Berry, although a lot of your cards are EXs, so it doesn't quite work as well. And then if you wanted to play Choice Band to help your some other matchups, you could. Not really that useful. And then this is super good on Raikou, on Emolga, on Pikachu, anything that they have to find a field blower to actually knock you out. So those 3 there. Stadiums, you have Staple. Pretty stable. You're playing Lightning Pokemon, so you might as well play this to get if any spread shenanigans come out, and also get with Raikou. Super good with Raikou. And then Skyfield helps you bounce stuff. You know, you bench the things you want. You bench Lapras, you bench Uzi, and then you windstorm your own Skyfield away and discard the unwanted cards. I think it's good in almost every deck. If it has the space, you should run this card in almost every deck. Dazzle Machine's already spec. Way better than Computer Search in U150. This should always be the A spec you play, unless you need to be running like Life Dew or Rock Guard for any weird specific decks. This should be in every deck though. And then your Elite Four, these should be in every single deck ever. Duh. Like, these cards are just busted. Energies, you have 1 double colorless as your only special energy, 2 metal energies, and then 13 lightning energies is usually enough here. I don't ever feel like I'm missing energies with 13, and I don't feel like my energy is being flooded. So yes, that is Magnezone. Sorry that it was kind of a longer video. I think these deck profiles are going to be a bit longer, so please bear with me. But one more time, I'll just show you the 3 Magnezones. Magnezone, we think, is BDIF, and if you can't beat Magnezone, I don't suggest playing it. You know, if you're looking at if your local area is doing a U150 tournament, which I highly suggest, get on that. If you are, please look up all the rules and stuff. But if you're looking at doing a U150 tournament, definitely bring Magnezone for your first one, and you will win. You'll win. It's super good. So thanks for watching. I'll upload some more stuff. I'm feeling kind of feisty tonight, so to all my UK friends, get excited.